That's it. We're live.
Oh, sweet.
Just like that.
And just like that, we were off to the races. Two friends having a conversation.
Coming to you live from Christmas. How are you? Where are you, David Karle?
I am actually I'm at home, Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yep, it's Christmas, man. You gotta take part in the festivities.
Well, you certainly did. I didn't put up lights this year, so what you have going on is pretty cool.
What do you mean you didn't put up lights?
I didn't put up lights outside. So we have a Christmas tree. It has lights on it, but there's not there's no house lights outside. Like I didn't do what you did. Like Santa Claus is literally in your chimney right now.
He's stuck.
I didn't do that yet. Not this year. You know.
What happened? Why not? Is it something you always do, or did you stop? What's going to be
usually? I like to do it right after Thanksgiving, so you get your most out of the effort. And then like those weeks kind of crept by, and then now I feel like it's just a couple of weeks away, and I don't really like I don't want to be hanging from my roof. It's like a tall kind of roof, and like you're hanging there on a ladder outside. Like it's not.
I mean, it's okay to put them up late. It's just not okay to take them down late.
That's the thing. If I could leave them all year round, I would like that, but I don't want to put them up for 2 weeks.
I love Christmas lights in March. It's awesome.
I do too. Why don't we actually kick it off by talking about an event you attended this weekend at Hossam Shop in North Carolina?
Oh yeah, that's. Oh man, it's sometimes hard to put it in words. Kind of, you know what I mean? Like how much the community's changed and what we do. So that toy drive this weekend, and I don't know if you know the total. Did you hear the total?
I didn't. I had some pictures to pull up, but I don't have the total. How much was it?
$8,500.
Wow.
$8,500.
Chunk of change raised in 2 days.
And for some kids, man, just the whole concept of it is just an amazing concept. It's I don't know. Everybody there feels good. It doesn't even feel like you're working. You know, it was just amazing. And I've been told to tell you live over the air, because a lot of people don't know you did this. Thank you for sending all the Chick-fil-A for everyone. And
you're so very welcome. I'm glad I could chip in. So I'm going to pull up some pictures.
All right.
And why don't you kind of give us some commentary as to what's going on in these pictures?
You know, it's really about the guy on top. He kind of always has to go above and beyond. And he wanted to bring the flamethrower with him and have that thing extended all the way out and stand at the top and blow that flamethrower. But I don't think you can get that through TSA. But just another great example of just people with a big heart coming together and doing amazing things. I mean, there's nothing else that really can say it. I don't even know how to ever explain it. You look at these pictures and it's like these people are taking away from their life, their time, what they do, and they're coming for a greater cause from everywhere. You know, this isn't like just down the street. I mean, you got guys coming from, Vinny coming from the north, people coming from Houston. I mean, it's just, man, these are great times we live in for camaraderie and partnership and just doing things for a greater good. This right here was pretty cool. I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly. It may say it, but that Humvee was actually something that went viral, and it was actually completely buried all in mud, and then it was donated to this organization right here, so they could take it around and use it for events and stuff like this. It's just a great group of people, man. I don't know how to say it. Like, what do you say? You see multiple brands, you see multiple shops, you see multiple skills. You just, I would just keep doing it. If we could do this every weekend, I'd do it. You know what I mean? How could we not? How would you not want to do it? That was awesome. That car right there, Brendan decided to put vinyl on the quarter windows because they had like these interesting circle vent holes on them. That was a cool car, man. That was actually a really cool car.
And then these squeegees were donated by Rodney at Gasket Pro Tools.
Man, that's that's my favorite squeegee. So I tried to steal as many as I could. I don't know how many I ended up getting, but that's my baby right there. That's what I like to use on a day-to-day basis.
Super cool. Then we got the
there it is. The machine that killed Carlos.
I heard Carlos injured himself.
Yeah, he sure did. He sure did. He thought he was going to be 8 years old again and just hop around like a kid. He come out 65 years old in a walker. He's all right now. He's good. He just hurt his back a little bit. I mean,
Santa Claus.
I mean, what do you say about that picture, man? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we spend our whole life working just to. That's a beautiful moment right there. That's imagination. That's everything that he just. What, you know? How do you even say anything to that?
And then we have one final picture. These are obviously some toys that were donated.
Yeah, they filled up like the whole bottom half of a fire truck with toys, from what I understand. One of the whole like bins that go inside of it. So I mean, it was a huge success, man. Huge success. Congratulations. I mean, way for Brendan to donate his energy and resources to hold it there. I mean, clap from the whole industry for everybody that attended. I mean, that was just, you know, I flew out there on Saturday as fast as I could, did what I could do. And, you know, it's just about, if you could chip in for 5 minutes, chip in for 5 minutes. If you could chip in for 5 hours, you know, do so. It was yeah. I have a hard time really articulating that in words, because when you get down to the inner person of who we are as people, most of us, our heart's in the right place. Words don't really describe what it really means to us. We get home that night and we sit on the couch and we just sit back and we kind of just smile. You know, we just go like, wow, I was a part of something bigger than me. That means a lot in life. Those are moments that you just can't. There's no credit card that'll ever buy that.
That's a great perspective to have, for sure. You know, give what you can and do what you can and when you can, and that's what it is. So speaking about giving and doing and you and Tinner Battles, I have a heat shrink promo. So I want to talk to you about CoolVu, right? We're going to talk about the franchise model and everything.
Sweet.
But why don't we debut this? You're going to be a judge at Tinner Battles this year?
Correct.
One of 3?
Correct.
It's yourself?
Correct. Who's the other ones? Jody Knight and Miss Roberta.
Jody Knight, Judge Jody, also known as, and Miss Roberta, from Northern California, correct. Modesto, California, and first female judge. Was that what was posted?
Yes.
Trainer, right. First female trainer, I would say, right?
Yeah, no. That's it. Yeah.
Both.
She's earned it.
Potentially. Both. Yeah.
She's earned it. She knows what's going on.
Right. And she's also starting a window tinting school, which is obviously a nod to her experience in the industry.
Agreed.
So you'll be a judge at Tinner Battles this year. Carlos announced it will be open judging, meaning that like you're going to be super accountable for how you judge, and everybody will kind of have their own opportunity to cast their own judgment on the judges judging.
I mean, it's fine with me. That's why it's a 3-step system.
Okay.
Bring it on. It's as legit as it comes. I mean, you can't show favoritism. The way the scoring works is it's pretty simple. They all start out with a set number of base points, and you know, depending on the mistake, it's all minus base points. Who's left with the most points wins.
So to get into that position, to be able to be judged by the 3 grand judges, you have to basically be a finalist in one of the 3 competitions that will take place the day before. There's the Gap Challenge with Sheriff Tinwright, and I believe the top 3 will move on to Tinner Battles to pick a teammate and move on to Tinner Battles. Then there will be the Tinter Trivia, and I believe it's 1 or 2 teams are nominated by the winning team. And then obviously this is a heat shrink battle, and the heat shrink battle is what we have a brand new promo to play and we're about to watch. And this heat shrink battle is different than last year's heat shrink battle. If you listen to this promo, I had a chance to preview part of it earlier. There's rounds and there's finalists, and then there's like head-to-heads, and then there's best of 2 of 3. So if you're familiar with the heat shrink battle, think of that, but more layers to it. Are you ready to watch the promo?
Bring it on.
Okay, like any promo, I don't know the volume. It could be a little louder. It should be fine. Let's see how it goes.
I think everybody should just turn it up as loud as you can.
Let's do it. I'm turning my volume up now. This is the heat shrink battles at Tinner Battles. Tickets are still available. This is going to be January 5th through the 8th. Let's watch it.
This is the heat shrink battle! a series of one-on-one battle round competitions organized in Wave. Wave 1 will host a series of battle rounds with competitors drawn at random to compete against each other. Winner advances, loser is eliminated until all competitors have competed in a battle round. Those who advance will compete in the next wave, getting drawn at random and repeating the process until we reach our final 5 competitors. Considered the official finalists of the Heat Shrink Battles, advancing to the championships. Now, from these 5 competitors, the contest becomes an elimination series format. Winner stays to defend until victory or defeat. The final 2 competitors remaining in the competition will battle in a best 2 out of 3, declaring the official winner of the Heat Shrink Battles of 2023.
You never know if something else is going to pop up.
You know, that's what you think with this kid.
You never know. So that is sponsored by Matico, and that is the Heat Shrink Battles, and that will be potentially your entry to picking a partner and competing in Tinder battles. Are you going to compete in any of the 3 preliminary competitions, even though you probably couldn't compete in the finals regardless?
Yeah. So yeah. Actually, I am. I've decided to join Team Tintertainment, and so is Hoss Evans.
Oh, on the Tinter trivia.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. In that event, I won't be competing in that. So basically, me and Hoss have decided to do Tinter trivia, and we're gonna pick a few more people. Obviously, we've got to kind of match what you're trying to do over there to try to get everybody all off till Just know I'm coming after you.
Okay, so here's the thing. I talked to Patrick Franco earlier about this too, about Tinter trivia, and he's talking shit to me about beating Tint Wiz community. And I'll tell you the same thing I told him. I purposely haven't picked, last week Chris Hardy's like, oh, how come I didn't get an invitation? I'm like, here's the thing. I purposely didn't pick the team very much. I wanted to lock in Manny. I wanted to get somebody in there, lock in, kind of get some action, right? But I purposely didn't pick the team because I wanted the other teams to be able to pick whoever they want, get whoever you think is going to win. So that way, when you lose, it's just that much more insulting because you had your pick. You could pick first. I don't want to be out there trying to rally up all who I think is going to win. And then your excuse is, everybody was already taken.
I got one person with me. That's it. You got one person with you. It's
all right. Well, here's the thing. So you're saying, let's recap. You're talking about Team Tintertainment, and so far the only 2 competitors of 5 that will be on that team is yourself and Hoss Evans, 2 extremely, worthy competitors, no question about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll wait for you to make the next move. It's like chess.
Is Carlos going to be on his own team?
I don't know what he's doing yet.
I feel like there's no way Carlos can be on the team because he's got to be in some way involved in the actual putting together of this. So that would make sense that Carlos would not be on a team, though I don't necessarily completely trust him and what he would do.
I mean,
completely trust him. I'm joking.
Yeah, I think there's a few reasons he probably can't, but there's nothing that says that the reporting squeegee can't, or there's
there is kind of. Okay, I see where you're going with this, but so far you picked 2. Now here's the other thing. I don't actually know the rules. I'll ask the question to you. Do you know if there's 2 teams, let's say there's 4 teams of 5 people, right? That's what there is. One team goes against another team. 5 people, 5 people. If a question is asked, do all 5 people cumulatively come up with an answer? Or is it 1 versus 1? So is it hypothetically, is it you versus Sheriff Tintright answering a question, or is it your team versus Tintwiz community going to try and answer that question with the buzzer? How is that going to work? Because I believe it's 1 versus 1. That's my understanding.
That's my understanding too, as of right now. I'm
not
sure.
As good as you are, you have to make sure every member of your team is equally as good to win. It's not like one genius can pull a whole team.
No, you're right. And and that's probably what's going to balance it out, right? I mean, that will create
very interesting.
That's going to create a great balance. You know what I mean? You can have one really smart guy, but if you can't leak any information to your team while they're on the hot seat, I mean, it is what it is.
Billy Ayton has been flexing his Tinner trivia knowledge on the groups, posting up everything from patents to random facts to quizzing the community. I'm curious to see how he performs for Window Tinters United.
I mean, he's definitely, he likes the technical side of stuff. That's for sure. He's dove in. But he can't carry a whole team, just like you just said.
He's got to put you on the spot. Who's your third team member? Let's hear it.
This is chess, not checkers.
All right, fair enough. Anything that you wanted to touch on with Tinter battles before we move on to the CoolVu franchise model?
I mean, just the same as I would tell anybody. Until you come experience it, you're not going to know what it's all about. And once you come get a taste of it, you just want to be a part of it and what it means. I think the biggest point of it all, it doesn't matter if you're in the front of the train or in the back of the train, just come get on the train, and you'll always want to be on the train. It's open arms. It's a great experience, great for your family. I mean, you've seen it. My wife and kid come with me every year now, and they want to come back. My daughter wants to bring her. I'm pretty sure she'd want to bring her boyfriend if she could. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one of the coolest things ever. Like I would recommend it, especially the concept of what it is. It's all about community. It's all about family. It's all about fun. It's all about breaking bread. I mean, there's so many. It's just another great thing that just unites us as individuals in the industry. We're artists that are scattered out across the land that all have something in common and put us all together in the same room. And it's, you may have never even met someone before, and you feel like you've known them for 20 years. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for it. It's almost like we talk about it every single time. We go into this event, we're pumped, we're amped. And when it's over, it's like, man, it's depressing almost. You know what I mean? It's like, you just want to live on that stage, not necessarily like being a part of it, just being a part of what's going on in it. It's a hard disconnect. So I warn everyone, once you come to one, you're hooked.
100%. And it's a tough final day when you have to actually leave and say goodbye to everybody. It's a tough breaking away. It's definitely a once in a lifetime experience. Patrick Fransco just shared the Window Film Pros group team members. Window Film Pros. It's going to be Marco Cazorla, Jeff Phillips, Burns Mulhern, Matt Job, is it Joby or Job, and Patrick Fransco.
Interesting.
So my question to you, David Karle, this extends to Patrick Fransco as well as his team members, and Haas Evans. Are any of you available potentially to switch teams? Is it even a possibility? Just asking.
Boy, you trying to get into some politics now, buddy.
I'm just asking if it's a possibility that you might not be fixated on Team Tintertainment. And the same question goes out to everybody else, including Patrick Fransco or Billy Ayton from Window Tinters United.
I mean, I would go after if Patrick Fransco wants to come over and join us, he can.
What a team, though, if it was Team Tint Wiz Community and there was Billy Ayton, there was David Karle, maybe Patrick Fransco, there's Haas Evans, who knows? There's obviously Manny's already on the team, but what I'm saying is what a story would be if people came from other teams to join the Tint Wiz community and then left victorious.
Yeah, that would definitely that would be a backstory.
Let it sink in.
Yeah, you just
let it sink in.
Stirring that pot right up is what you're trying to do. I love it.
All right, CoolVu franchise. It's a franchise model. Am I correct saying that CoolVu moved flat glass to architectural to a franchise model at the very beginning of this year of 2022? So we're just probably coming up on a 1-year reunion.
Correct. That is correct. Yeah, we went away from just open distribution, and we brought everything back in house and definitely went to a complete franchise model. We built the systems, everything it takes to be a real franchise. It was a lot of work. I mean, not so much on my end, but just being a part of it, sitting on the sidelines and watching it all go down. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot that goes on to create a system like this. I would like to say that I know that we opened up 40 territories in year one.
So there's over 40 active territories. in this first year. It's probably less than a year.
Yeah, that's correct.
40 active territories throughout the U.S. Yeah,
that's correct. Yep. And it's a good mix too. We've got new people that have come from the medical industry or finance or, corporate executive levels of people from, major corporations that have bought into the concept. But we've also had an amazing mix of people that are already in the industry say, hey, I see the value in this and I understand it. I mean, this is a whole topic that could run. And I think a lot of people just need to hear this, regardless if it makes sense for them or doesn't make sense for them, because there's a lot of information to grab. What's the difference between, owning a window film shop, and then what's the difference between having a franchise model? Like, what are the differences? What does that mean for me in the long run? It's a huge topic, and I think it's something that should be discussed. I mean, I can tell you that I've spent my whole life building a shop that the value is just not there, and it has to do with systems. The hardest thing to understand about it, I guess, is like, what does it really mean? It's like I think the industry has always been anti-franchise, right? I mean, we can honestly say that. Like,
but there hasn't been really many. Why don't we do this? Why don't we kind of start just by painting a picture of, okay, you said that it's a mixture of existing in the industry and new to the industry. If we take, like, what does it look like? A franchise for somebody who was existing in the industry that now decided to be a franchise. What does that look like per se? Is it total branding, total, you tell me.
Yeah. It's total branding. It's inserting every system, all the way from CRMs to, marketing tools, marketing connections, national branding, national support. There's a lot in it. You know what I mean? It's just a total overhaul of your business, right? It's going to come in and teach you a different way to run a business.
Okay. I got my puppy
there he is,
grabbing my attention as I pull this up on screen. So we have the website here. That might kind of give, maybe, I don't know, put a face with a feeling of what we're talking about. This is the CoolVu website. That's the CoolVu van. I really do like that wrap. I've seen that wrap before, and I really like that branding. So, if a customer is interested, if they come across CoolVu, whether it be through a franchise's marketing or corporate marketing or Google search or whatever it is, this is, kind of the back end behind it, which is an important thing, is like, what does the brand look like of the product? And this is the website. Very nice. Very clear, very professional.
I think you're aware of how much our team, I mean, Jeff, and we've got some people behind the scenes that really, I love saying their name because they don't ever get any credit on the front side. We've got Michelle Pop and Carrie and, of course, Jeff, Mike, Bob, Chris Wells, Never Hear Wells. I mean, we've got a strong team. And that's the one thing that's really cool about being a part of this at any level is there's one of our classes. That was our first class, actually, of franchise members. We're just all a really good family, a good team, and we work well together. And, we spend a lot of time throwing paint at a wall, and not every idea, you may have 1,000 good ideas. You guys got to execute on them. And it's been building over, the last couple of years of getting to this point where it totally makes sense. But that being said, the marketing never ends. Jeff is, as you know, I mean, the guy just lives, eats, and sleeps marketing. Loves it. It's his forte. It's just what he likes to do, and he does it on a high level. So it's kind of easy. I got asked once a long time ago, why did I join the CoolVu family, even as being a distribution level? Sometimes there's a 500-pound gorilla in the room. You can choose to fight him, or you can choose to ride him to success. I think it's an easier path sometimes just to join the family and go with it. That's a win-win. And that's how it looked for me and where I was at.
So, there's different business models, obviously, franchises being one of them. And like you said, you said the industry is kind of anti-franchise. I think, to be specific, at least from my perspective, the anti-franchise tone kind of originally, to me, I interpret it as kind of coming off of Tint Worlds, but not Tint Worlds of today. Tint Worlds of maybe like the early 2000s, where it might be like a bay in a garage of an audio place. It felt like that, or like kind of like they were not as like elaborate as they are now. I think that might be where maybe there wasn't such a focus on, even so it's Tint World, people felt like maybe they weren't, representing window film in a great way. Whereas, and that's again, just my perspective. I'm sure there's maybe other reasons, whatnot, but I can't really name another franchise that is so noteworthy other than Tint World for those last couple decades. And now since then, I think all the new Tint Worlds, like they are badass. Like they're beautiful. They have great branding. Like I think they're a great representation of the industry. Of course, I'm sure there's shitty owners, just like there's shitty owners in everything. There's shitty people in everything, literally. So if you have like a Tint World that you don't like, it's not sticking up for the person, who knows? But that happens with every brand across the board, not specific. But what I'm trying to say is I think that franchise thing really, like there wasn't any franchises in the industry and people kind of felt like, well, why would I be part of a franchise, right? Like, what are you giving me that I can't just do on my own? And I think that value proposition is a little more clear with Tint World now of today, but let's get back to CoolVu. And what that does is it's a framework, right? It's a framework, it's systems from start to finish. And then it's also, I really want to hear your thoughts on this, but it's also evaluation, right? You're starting a business. You want to run that business as smoothly and profitable as possible. You want to have the backing and support that can lead you to success. And ultimately, you'd like to have some sort of valuation on the business, right? Like we can all dream of leaving it to a kid or whatnot, but like most businesses are either going to close or be sold. Most aren't going to be handed down generation after generation and like continue that cycle. So having that valuation is important. Can you talk about how, like what you see relating to what I just mentioned, and how it relates to CoolVu?
Yeah. So, and that's kind of what I was touching on. So like, you can spend your whole life building a company, but I guess the example to put is, here's how I kind of have thought of this. And I'll give a couple examples. If you wanted to buy a car from somebody, right? And this is where the value proposition comes in. Well, you can buy the same car for $10,000 for this, or $5,000 for this. Now they're both the same car. The only difference is one is all the pieces in boxes, and the other one is somebody just walks over and hands you the keys and you can run it. Obviously, the one that you can just get in and drive away is going to be worth more money. Exactly. And that's what happens in our industry.
Assembled with instructions.
Right. That's what happens in our industry. The only thing really, I need a lot of people to hear this, and it's just true. If you don't own your land and you're just like renting your property or something like that, the only thing you have of value is your phone number. Your
website, modern day phone number, website, web presence.
Yeah.
Continuation of business, and maybe your staff. Value.
You could be the biggest dealer for one of the biggest manufacturers, but it doesn't give you any more value. I love that dog. It doesn't necessarily give you any more value because that product line doesn't have to sell to the new owner. You're not guaranteed anything. You set a McDonald's next to a Joe's Burgers. And let's just say McDonald's is doing $500,000 a year and Joe's Burgers is doing $1 million. Which one is worth more?
Right.
Common sense is going to tell you that you want to say Joe's Burgers, but that's not the right answer.
Well, and that's the reality of, like, if you go to sell your business, whether it be automotive or flat, right? And it's just your own business. You go to sell that business. What is somebody going to pay? If it's a physical location, like you said, if it's a rent, well, the property really doesn't have anything unless it's like a known location. They're going to be buying your staff, your customer base, your systems and whatnot. Now, how much will they pay for that? $50,000, $100,000? Are they going to pay $500,000? Well, you'd say, well, why don't they just take that $500,000? They can go rent a space, get in there for $15,000, build it out brand new and clean. Like, so why are they giving you $500,000? Well, the answer is they're not. They're not going to give you $500,000 or $250,000 or anything. They're just going to go do it themselves with that money, unless you possess something that is unique to your business that they want, like staff or some sort of unique system or whatnot. Now, one of those unique things can be a territory of a brand.
Correct. But they still, at the end of the day, you cannot guarantee that brand will stay with the new owner. You cannot guarantee, you just can't guarantee that for anybody. You couldn't write that into a contract.
Like if a tint shop's selling to another tint shop, that they will continue to carry a product.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you don't.
No. Right.
You can't guarantee that. You know what I mean? You just can't, because you never know. At the end of the day, that brand might have been like had a personal relationship with this person that owned it, but they've actually been losing money in that market because they knew they could boost sales by X amount of dollars by having 3 shops in that area, kind of being grandfathered in. So being in a true franchise, you truly have a legal protected territory.
So have you converted your flat glass to your architectural to CoolVu of Jacksonville, North Carolina?
Yeah, CoolVu of Jacksonville, and I also bought another territory, CoolVu of Wilmington, North Carolina. So I have.
Previous to that, it was Tint Wizard.
That's it.
And now it's CoolVu of Jacksonville.
Correct.
And CoolVu of
Wilmington.
Is that active? Are both of them active territories?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So since then, what, if anything, because it's really a short amount of time, well, let's ask, how much time has it been? And what, if anything, has changed for you as a business operator, or just within it, or, new vans, like literally anything? It's not like tell me the grandest things, just tell me some of the things.
Yeah. So obviously we have our marketing. So I've wrapped a truck completely with a cab on it. It helps you. I mean, I know this is going to sound crazy, but the grandest part of all this is it's helped me to run my business more correctly, because there's a blueprint in place for you to do so. You can't just you just don't get to run wild and pocket cram and not take care of your company, because you don't want to, because you're gypping yourself in the long run, because you're wanting to put everything into that company, because the value truly is going up and you truly will get a multiple at the end of the day. It's just an easy comment to say. Every entrepreneur and window tint shop out there is probably an amazing entrepreneur, and they have all the drive in the world. They have all the get to go in the world. But what they don't necessarily have is an exit strategy. At the end of the day, you should be building a company for an exit strategy, because there's going to come a day when you're just like, I want to be involved in the industry maybe, but you know what? I just spent 20 years of my life building this, and I can retire on this. You have to be building it for an exit strategy. We've talked about this before, even offline. You know what I mean? Like, exit strategies are just as important as how you're getting in.
I mean, it depends how much you're getting, right? Like, I mean, if somebody's getting, like I'm just saying, if somebody's running their tint shop, they have no exit strategy, they're making $500,000 a year take home net, and they're putting aside $300,000. Hey, do that for 20 years and you're going to be in fantastic shape for retirement. You can just close the doors of your tint shop. But I don't think that's the way most tint shops are run or whatnot. So at the end of the day, if you're, hey, you need to be able to afford to retire one day. Everybody needs to be able to afford to retire one day. And if that is involving selling your company, it certainly should be, because you've built it and ran it the whole time. So it's a waste if it's not. Even if you could afford to retire without it, how could you let something of such value potentially, or at least know where you're headed, right? You don't want to find that out when you go to sell it.
Yeah. And
that's know ahead.
And that's kind of what's happened. Like, even for me, I did an evaluation of my whole company, and I couldn't believe it was pennies on the dollar, completely pennies on the dollar. It was unreal.
Tell me a little more about that evaluation. Who did you talk to? How did that look like?
So I brought in, I'm really good friends here in town with the president of a bank. And they came in and they ran everything for me and did everything. And then, spit it out to a few people that are in that type of industry for financing, loaning, and stuff like that, for people that buy up businesses, just investors and of that sort, right? People that run businesses off reports. And it's toxic. It's just toxic, because you can't run that kind of business off a report, because the only person in my business that could run it was me. Now, if I'm 3 years, God forbid, I'm up on a ladder and I fall off a ladder. This is the bigger situation scenario that I want people to think of. You get hurt, you get sick, anything goes wrong sideways. The only person that can run your shop is you, or run your company is you, most of the time. Now, there are bigger shops out there and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. They have general managers, and day-to-day operations would still take place. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not meant to say everyone needs to do this. It's just, there are things that can happen in your life that you just cannot account for. Let's say you're married, your wife gets sick or something like that. I mean, just things in life can get brutal and can change in a quickness. If you just have to walk away from all income because the only thing of the value is that one thing, then you're kind of in trouble. You know what I mean? You cannot just say, here's the keys to my car, please drive it to the gas station. It doesn't work like that.
Right. Because the reality is, one part of the reality is when somebody goes to buy your company, that's somebody with money. They usually have to have money if they're buying your company, right? And what do they want to do? They want to exchange money that they made doing something for like a return on that money from your company. They're not necessarily like most of the time being like, I want to start a tint company. I'm just going to, here's $1 million because I want to run a tint company. So I'm going to give you $1 million and start tinting windows. Like that company needs to be like something that can run to where it's like an investment on the money and a return on the money. And if that doesn't exist because it revolves around you and your brand and just you, the reality is, why would anybody buy it?
No. I mean, that's kind of like the same brick wall that we kept running into. And that's why I was, honestly, as a person, I think you know me as a person, and a lot of people do. That's honestly why I was able to really transition into this as easily as I was, because I really started seeing it as, I always wanted to be able to put myself in a position to say, I really did my best to help people, make good decisions. Even if it didn't make sense for them, that's okay too. You know what I mean? I just always wanted to say, like, I've always really just spoke the truth on what I knew or what I understood, and this was a way for me to say, all right, here's the next level of helping someone, that really sees the format, understands it, plays by the rules, and looks at it and says, you know what, this makes total sense. I now see why I can sell it to someone from, here's the big thing. You can't sell a tint shop to a person from a pharmaceutical company. You can't sell it to a finance, broker or just a bank manager or someone that's been in the corporate world and has some cash to burn up and wants to start their own business. They're not going to walk in and just buy your window tint shop because it does not have the system in place to do so. So not only by creating a franchise model, do you widen that buyer base. That's really what it is. You have more prospective buyers. That's why the value also goes up, because you're able to give them reports and they can actually see, real numbers and tangible things that they can bounce balance sheets off of and things like that. So if you're big enough and you have employees in a franchise, if I worked for a franchise, I don't think I'd be too upset if the owner sold the company. I could kind of understand that because it's just the way it is. But now if I was working for, Tint Wizard, I'll just use my shop for example. I think if I sold my shop and they were expecting to get my staff, I probably would think my staff would probably leave because they would have it in the concept to go out and start their own because they're not joining. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it's kind of weird, you know what I mean? But if you work for Applebee's and they sell that Applebee's restaurant sells to another person, the waitress isn't going to quit because that Applebee's sold. It's
Right.
not that close and personal. Our industry is close and personal. I don't know too many shops that don't have personal relationships with almost all of their installers, whether it be good or bad or whatever the case may be. But it's one-on-one, it's hands-on with them. They usually came up with you. They know your family. They know the name of your cats. You know what I mean? So it's always personal. So you make a transition in your life without and not tell them or something like that. They're going to take that extremely personal because it wasn't offered to them. So there's a lot of things that you can dig into on this of why I came up with my decisions on why I want to do it. I always looked at it from, at the end of the day, we have to do what's best for our family. I'll say that to you. I've probably said it to you before. You have to do what's best for your family. And if what's best for your family is to build some sort of sweat equity that's value at the end of the day, so if something happens to you, your wife can walk in and sell the company and have something along with your life insurance policy, and she doesn't have to be stressed by this situation because of what it is, because the franchise would step in and say and help her move that type of book of business, because that's really what you're moving into. It's a whole nother level of business. Move that book of business to somebody else. I mean, I don't know about you, that just made sense to me. You know what I mean? I'm 45 now. So there was a lot of moves for me that a lot of things that I had to look at in a bigger picture that was bigger than myself to truly try to understand what was going on.
So who do you think's an ideal CoolVu franchise owner? Like what kind of, if somebody's going, I wonder if this is for me, how would you describe them potentially if they're going to go, yeah, that does sound like me?
You kind of hit a brick wall, and you know that this is a good question, Eric. It really is, because this is one of those, like, it's a harder question. If you hit a brick wall, and let's say you're at that brick wall and you just can't seem to grow your company anymore, it's usually not because you're doing something wrong. It's just you don't know how to get to the next level in business. So if someone is in a brick wall, but yet they know they're in a market that they should be doing, you know, X amount of dollars more than they are every quarter, or, you know, growth every year, that's when a franchise model really plays dividends, because there's systems in place and people in place to coach you, guide you, talk to you, give you ideas. There's a think tank. You're all joining together. I mean, there's a lot of information, a lot of resources that people don't tap into when they're on their own. When you own a small business, you are by yourself, regardless if you think you're not. You are. You may have some mentors that you can call up and say this and that, but you don't have, you know, 35 people plus, I mean, depending how many franchises you end up, that are all aligned and thinking the same way. They're not all on the same runway. I love that word. What is your runway? You know, that's what you need to look at. You need to focus on your runway. If you don't have, the more people that are on your runway, the more lift that you're going to get.
So what's my runway? I want to talk about the runway because you mentioned it. Like, give me an example of a runway. Like, my runway or somebody's runway or your runway. So
so it's like, I call runway is like, I can use Tinder battles, for example, you know, with the runway of Tinder battles, we all relate to that. You know what I mean? But it's a projection. It's like, where do you see yourself in 6 months to 3 years? It's really hard to do anything outside of 3 years now, because the climate, the market, the economy changes so much and stuff like that. But the runway is about what you're hyper focused on to achieve. There's other things that may cause you to have to pivot and go sideways, but your runway has to be, what is your objective? If your objective is to grow 45% over the next calendar year, you got to have resources and people in place that can show you how to do that. You have to have someone that's at the next level that you can lean on to say, hey, how did you get this? Or how are you tweaking this number? Or, you know, what's this labor percentage? I mean, it's all about business and learning and how to get to the next level. That's runway to me. Runway is, where do I see myself in 3 months, a year, and then 3 years?
Okay. And if somebody is saying, well, can we talk about how much it is? Because I was saying, like, if somebody's saying, like, hey, I want to start my own tint company, I'm working somewhere, but I don't have a ton of money, a ton of capital. Is this something very capital intensive or not so capital intensive?
No, it's definitely not. If you look it up and you go online and research it and ask for some information, it's for what it is and the amount of information. It's very cost effective. It is. It's a $50,000 per territory, and then there's a $20,000 franchising fee. But inside of that is like tons of material and web pages, websites, Facebook. I mean, all the things that you need to do to start up a window film company is packaged into that price, 1,000%. I mean, there's still things you want to do, like PPC, pay per click, and then, like, you know, some extra SEO stuff. There's always more that you can do. But the basic, what you talked about, the framework for everything for you to be successful is already in there, and it's already been proven to work.
Okay. Do you want to go through some questions?
I'm sure there's a ton of them, sure.
There's definitely some questions. I'm going to kind of start. Let's work our way backwards. And if you have any questions, put them in there now as a good time, or put them in whatever. But I'm going to work my way upwards. And
I want to say this too, so everybody can hear me. Man, look me up. My name's right there. Message me. You know what I mean? I'll talk to you on a friend level. I'll tell you the ins and outs. You know, just it's, you know how you can reach out to me. You know how I am, Eric. I mean, I'm not
very accessible and friendly.
Yeah. I mean, if it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, it's okay. You know what I mean? It's not for everybody.
All right. Reading the comments backwards probably is not the best decision in the world. I'm like trying to make sense of it, but maybe there's no questions. It's more commentary. If there are questions, they could obviously be asked.
I just like to say I'm excited that the people that are in the industry, we have some different programs too. I don't want somebody just to look at that dollar sign and think that's the end all. Okay. So, like, just don't go, reach out to somebody. You know what I mean? There may be other opportunities and avenues that we can, you know, help you figure out how to make that happen as well.
Are there financing opportunities available?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you wouldn't believe how many companies are out there that will finance the money for you starting a legit franchise. When you're going into a real franchise, there are brokers and banks that have whole credit lines dedicated to nothing but financing that system.
Has anybody resold? Has a franchise like changed hands already?
Not
Like,
yet. Not yet. It's going to happen. I mean, that's the whole beauty of it. It's supposed to happen. It's supposed to. Somebody's supposed to buy in. It becomes successful, and then they sell it and make a profit. That's the beauty of it.
can you buy a territory, not operate the business, and just hold the territory
No.
for future value?
I mean, I'll let you contact.
Curious.
Yeah, no, I don't think that would be in your best interest. You know what I mean?
Like buying a lot of land, you're like, if the property around you becomes like, you pick up Houston, then you're like, all right, I own Houston. And
Great question. I don't think that would be in the best interest of our company. You know what I mean?
probably not.
No.
I don't know. I mean, it's just, it's a Wednesday evening coming up with anything that comes to mind. So Dave Dillinger said, we honestly need this to be successful in our industry. This will add precedent for selling businesses in the industry one day. Definitely. We need more transactions, them to be known about, maybe the amounts to be known about, so that can kind of build a market and so on. Because once there's a supply and demand in a market, it's kind of tricky too, though, like selling a business, if here's the thing, if you sell a business that's flat glass and it's doing enough commercial work, which is obvious, like probably more times than not what's getting sold, then a company that handles national flat glass work can come in, buy the company, own the staff, own the area, use the staff nationwide, sell all the jobs there, like obvious victory, right?
Yes.
I'm moving around a lot because of the dog. No,
It's all right.
Okay, but when it comes to like automotive, especially, or let's say smaller flat glass, you're like, hey, I have a shop. I'm in Tucson, Arizona. Well, who's going to buy it? Somebody else in Tucson, Arizona. Because like, unless they live there, how are they going to operate the shop? Now, of course, they could operate it and they live in, another city in that state or whatnot. But like, you're asking for a commitment, right? Like somebody has to come there and physically be there. And that decreases the chances as well.
I mean, there's some things there that you got to understand. Again, this was put together. I mean, there's going to be some situations where you need to get your hands dirty for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But this whole system was put together so it can be ran from reports. It can be ran like a real company. That's what I need people to understand. Like,
that's where the franchise comes in, is what I'm saying, right? Because without it, you're just buying this one location. Unless you have a franchise to convert it to, like you might buy a tint shop and convert it into a CoolVu franchise, but like you're not going to just buy it and run it under that name without living there, and you also own a bunch of other businesses somewhere else. Who's going to run those?
Yeah, that's where our industry is extremely fractured. And I like Dave's comment because Dave is telling the truth. You know what I mean? Like something has to the dam has to break. Something has to give value to our industry. Now I'm going to talk about a situation that, obviously I don't know all the particular details, so I'm not going to speculate.
That's even better though. Speculate.
Well, because he's such a great guy, man. I'm talking about Tommy Silva at TNT. Okay. He's such a wonderful guy. He had to, from the way it looks on the inside, and I could be wrong on some of this stuff, but I mean, how successful is that guy's company? You know what I mean? And I think that I mean, let's be honest. Did he really get fair market value for his company? He got really creative. It was in Window Film Magazine. He ended up selling it to all his employees because there was probably.
He didn't say how much he got though, right?
No, but I would speculate that, this is where I would speculate. He would probably be willing to take a haircut on his employees more than he would to someone outside of his own company.
Look, I see where you're going with it. And the reality is there's not a lot of buyers for window tint companies, probably even less when you're on an island in the Pacific. But even if you're on the continental US, there's not a lot of buyers. And if you don't have a lot of buyers, you have to have a buyer to be able to sell. And like, that's the reality. And there's not a lot of buyers. So the more tint worlds and CoolVus and people individually that change hands, the more that becomes an actual market, and people will invest in this very lucrative industry that goes beyond window film into paint protection and graphics and so on. And we know obviously the money that's there, but the people on like the outside doesn't quite see it as much, right?
No, that's a huge challenge. I mean, we get guys that call and validate us. We do validation of people. You know, it's where we kind of have conversations with them and talk to them about what we look like as a business model. And, you know, that's one of the biggest like questions. It's, I mean, they all want to know how much money they're going to make, but when they start actually writing down the profit margins, they're just blown away by what we're doing over here in our own little side of the world. You know what I mean? Like it's to them, it's refreshing. They're like, wow, this is kind of amazing if you think about it. We know that. Look, if you're a window tinter and you own a shop, you know you're blessed. I mean, you have to know that. And like, you have to know that you were hand selected by someone bigger than yourself and said, here, do this. And it's probably changed more lives than we can ever count for the greater good than it ever has for the worst. And, you know, it's a good thing. You know, it's a strong concept. And I just think we just need to march forward on this whole concept. And we're not slowing down. I mean, we already have I think we've sold, I think five new territories. It's still in this calendar year going into our next year's, you know, training. I mean, we're doing really, really well. I mean, I don't want to project and speculate of where we'll be, but if we're 40 in year one, there's no telling where we'll be in year two. The train's moving now. We've got lift, and we're attracting buyers. And this is the important thing. Is what you asked me. We're attracting buyers that are not window tinters. You know what I mean? They come from different industries, and that's been really cool.
So, a couple questions and barking. We're going to get Cash, and then we're going to ask Nick's just because timing. I think it's shorter to longer. Answers. Cash want to know, CoolVu, is it only flat glass or automotive too? Obviously, there is CoolVu automotive, but is it a franchise model or is that different?
That is a concept that we're in the process of like working. We did kind of debut it at SEMA last year, and we were there again this year. It's CoolVu Auto Spa. But as far as right now, if you want to buy automotive film, yes, it's still an open market.
Okay, so you can buy automotive film, not a franchise yet.
Yep. But flat glass is all franchise.
Flat glass, all franchise, or else you're not touching CoolVu film. Cool. And then Nick asked, that wasn't Nick.
I love your dog.
It's like just the timing. She knows what I'm doing, so she fucks with me. All right. Nick asked, I could get up for a couple of minutes. I'll grab a handful of dog treats and keep it busy for the next hour and a half. But I was seeing if she would get the hint. Okay. Nick asked, how many years does CoolVu have? I don't know if this is what he meant to type. Nick, correct it if there's maybe a misspelling. How many years does CoolVu have corporate locations? So how many years has CoolVu had a corporate location or multiple corporate locations, I think? How do you make a home-based franchise model if you don't have years of running it?
Because of the years of us experience of running window film companies.
Right. Okay. So let's just break down the answer because I could interpret this a few different ways. So let's just interpret it all ways.
Okay.
The people behind CoolVu have been in the industry of window film for approximately how long?
I mean, Jeff Franson.
Yes.
30 years.
Okay. So that's like Window Film Depot and, right?
Defense Light,
and Bullet Shield, and
yep. Mm-hmm.
Barking. So there's a 30-year history, and then Window Film Depot is a name that you'll see every year at the top of the top window film dealers in Window Film Magazine. That they'll say like a range, like doing like 2 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 plus, or whatever it is. And Window Film Depot is consistently in that top highest range. I guess for context. And then the next question was, how do you make a home-based franchise model if you don't have years of running it? Let's interpret that one as in people that are new coming into the industry. Are they able to learn the window film trade for flat glass in a quick time and start, running their business with no previous experience? What does that like turnaround look like? Because ultimately, like that's a challenge that a lot of companies currently face is hiring and training. So, what does it look like when you're a CoolVu franchise to bring somebody in and get them to be able to install film to a satisfactory level?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked this question because this is one of the biggest things for us. So you have me, Bob, Wells, and Chris. Okay, we are the support directors. So that is our job, is training. So let's say you're a new franchise and you come in. First thing you have to do is you have to attend a class, which has trainings and all kinds of resources throughout that whole week in training. Look, I know people say you're not going to learn in a week. No, we know that. We then go on site for 2 days with them. And just like I have 2 new guys, I have, it's cool to talk about this. I have a new guy in Northern Virginia, and then I have a guy that bought 2 territories in Charleston, South Carolina. I have a 6,000 square foot job in Baltimore to do next month. Okay. I am going to take those trainees with me, and I am going to make them hang film over and over and over and over and expect the loss of what it takes for them to learn. And that's what we do with trainees. We bring them in and we work with them. And then at the end of the day, if that's still not making sense, then we bring them to another location and we work with them until they get it. It's as simple as that. We don't just, a lot of franchising, I don't know for sure, but it seems like sometimes that's one of the things we've heard, that training has to be top notch, right? I mean, you understand Bob's education, how long he's been doing this. You understand me. You understand Jeff. Chris on the West Coast has been with Window Film Depot from the beginning. Then you got Wells, who's been doing it over 20 years. These guys have multiple sources of people to go to and to get help from. So anytime there's a project going on somewhere and they need more training, we have somewhere to put them to give them more training. Training doesn't end until the franchisee says, I think I'm ready to go. And then we let them go. Does that clear it up?
Understood. Chrissy asked, how do you think this would change money being made for small businesses and installers? Unfortunately, the more corporate, the more support staff, the more money being filtered into the top of the corporation, less at the bottom. That would seem to change the pay structures for installers and even franchise owners. So what does it look like as an installer for a franchise or as an owner versus if I wasn't part of a franchise and I was operating a similar business? Do you think a lot of the profits get cut into, or is it even more efficient? Does it free up profits or make more profits?
I think it depends if you have a brick and mortar or not, but you're not going to have a brick and mortar because it's a home-based business. I think you do have a royalty fee to pay every month, right? So obviously that they might see that as kind of something that may hurt them, but that's just value going in the pot. That's what you have to dig into to understand. It doesn't change anything. I don't know of any installer that's getting paid less because they're part of a franchise. I don't know of anybody. I'm not making less being the owner of a franchise. It doesn't change anything. I have a royalty fee that I have to pay, but on top of that royalty fee, because of the backside work that's being done with SEO and pages and leads that are being driven to me, it is actually up to my bottom line. So no, I'm actually making more money.
So just to be clear, if we say last year to this year, last year you didn't have a royalty fee, this year you do have a royalty fee, you're doing more business this year, enough to cover that royalty fee and put some additional money in your pocket.
Yeah. I'm speaking as a franchisee owner right now, not as a support director for them. Yes. The leads that come in because of the, just SEO, how much has been done in that scenario and situation. Absolutely. And with the systems, there's less time being spent because obviously we're using CRMs and there's things that we're taught right out of the gate that saves a ton of time. There's ways to tweak anything. I hope I answered that question correctly. And I would be happy to dive more into that question if that person wants to message me. You know what I mean? Like I can get, if I don't know the answer, I'm going to be the first one to tell you. I don't know how to really, I don't know the total answer to that, but I can get it for you.
Cash asked if for the 70,000 buy-in, are you setting up a location and including up all training until they are up and running? That's like location-wise, that's a territory, not like a physical location, but like a territory, an area. And then tell me the rest. So are you setting up all training until they're up and running? So if somebody comes to you with $70,000, they lock in their territory, they go through the training, and they start operating their business, and you say fly.
Yes, with training. Like the training is, again, like I said, what I just told you. And then on top of that, when we do these projects, this is what's cool about the way that we operate. If you're not winning, we're not winning. That's the first thing, right? Like if you're not producing, we're not producing. Like that is a two-way street. That's why a real franchise model has a lot of it's a huge contract. There's a lot more to it than people realize. But we pay them to come to trainings. So like when these guys come with me to Baltimore, I'm not paying them. They're getting paid to be there. So we're past the regular training stage. We're in the stage now where it's like, all right, you're a laborer now, so you're gonna make a few percentage points here and put some change in your pocket as you learn. So that's been one of the upsides to this.
And then for territories that require contractors licenses, like California, Arizona, maybe one or two more pain in the ass states, is that something that the individual would have to get their own, or is that somehow does CoolVu obtain the contractor's license required?
That's a question for Mike Herrera because I'm on the East Coast. He's on the West Coast. I know there's been some things been discussed on certain ways that you can do certain things, but California was absolutely one of the hardest states to get the paperwork done for franchising in with the Secretary of State and everything. So there definitely are more stipulations out there. But we do have people on our staff that hold certain certifications that are part of, CoolVu leadership that help them as far as like glazing and stuff like that. So that's a great question. And that's one that should be sent to me and I can get them an answer.
I would like to call on the IWFA to work to remove those contractor license boundaries from the states that require them, like Hawaii, California, Arizona, unnecessary contractor's license to be able to apply window film to glass. It's just as bad as a tint law that doesn't require film, in my opinion. Stop contractors' licenses. Absolutely. Yeah. More barriers to entry in a industry that everyone can appreciate the entrepreneurship aspect of. Less barriers to entries, in my opinion, are the way to go for a healthier economy and ecosystem. Cash asked. Okay, so location setup. They have to buy all material, advertising materials and everything themselves. Is anything with buying territory included for the physical location? There is no physical location, but you're going to need a van. You're going to need some film. You're going to need maybe like an iPad. You're going to need some marketing material, some sort of landing page and all those things. That's all included, am I asking?
Correct. Yeah, film, material, iPads, systems, QuickBooks, CRM, everything's included in that price. We just have to teach you how to get out and do some marketing and get the ball rolling. Everything's included in that price. I mean, not a van, obviously. I mean, you're gonna have to buy a van.
Buy your own van. You can just finance it.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I mean, everything else is included. And we're learning every day too. I mean, we're a very open book group of people. I wish some people knew us like you knew us. You know what I mean? We want your ideas. We want you to throw paint at the wall with us. We believe that makes us better every single day. I mean, we love when any of our franchisee has an idea. I mean, I'm gonna tell you this, after all these years of doing this, and I know this may sound like a knock, but these people that have come from different industries have taught me more in the last 7 months than I think I've learned in 5 years from fellow window tinters because we have our blinders on. They have a different subset of thinking on how to run a business. It's been refreshing, Eric. Like I've really enjoyed some of the ideas that have been brought to me by people that are not in our industry and how well they translate. It's like, wow, that's great information. You know what I mean? You turn around and you're like, oh, what was I thinking this whole time? You know what I mean?
Different perspectives. They should be appreciated. They can come from anywhere. And if you found sources outside the industry, that's, fantastic to compound with what your own experience and all the people that are around you. So we've done a lot of mentioning of other brands on here today, and I guess we won't stop. Nick asked about Frost Shades, which is I believe they call themselves a franchise. I don't know if they're actually a franchise. I have no clue, but I've seen their website. Is this something you're familiar with at all?
Yeah. They're a franchise model.
Okay.
They are.
Just wondering. I don't know. So do you know Frost Shades? You do know Frost Shades. So question.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're going to pay attention to our landscape just like anybody else.
For sure. Yeah. had known of them, but like sometimes people say they're a franchise and they're not necessarily a franchise, but they say they're a franchise. So I was just saying I didn't know when people say franchise, like could be a franchise.
Right. No,
Sometimes people say they're a franchise or not a franchise.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're listed with
real franchise.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's a couple more, right? There's Turbo Tint. There's a handful. They're popping up.
Yeah, they are. I believe that's an automotive one. Yeah, that's like West Coast area. There's nothing. I don't think any on the East Coast. I don't think. But yeah, I mean the only
that's one that popped up during COVID out of all times.
Yep, absolutely. The only other flat glass one that we're aware of is frost shades.
Okay, so the question here is, did you frost or no? Did you frost? Did you train frost shades?
That's one of those inside corporate questions you would have to.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't confirm
your question, Nick?
That. I mean, there may have been some connections in the beginning on helping some information or something like that. But as far as like, how far that relationship went, that was definitely above my pay grade inside of the corporate structure of the president and CEO and stuff like that.
So there's two types of questions, right? There's questions that you're just interested in, right? Like, I just want to know the answer to this, might help somebody and so on. And then there's like inside gotcha questions, like interrogation questions. That one kind of felt like you were on the stand and somebody was asking you a question. All questions welcome.
Well, I mean, I want to be honest. I mean, I know I know
specific.
I know who they are. You know what I mean? And they're really great people. So I don't want to come across anything that would be damaging.
Yeah.
Because they're super great people. Like they really are. It's just we're just a completely different model than even they are. You know what I mean? We have a whole film brand, line of brand of our own film. There's differences in the two models. You know what I mean? So that
I trust that there's differences. I don't actually know. I don't know anything about them, but it's cool that there's activity in this side of the industry. I think only good things come from that sort of rumble and activity and leveling up, and everybody finds their place, and some come and go, some will stay for a long time. And, it's just interesting to see it evolve, I think, is more than anything. And then how this model, if wildly successful, which could be very wildly successful, how that could potentially impact the rest of the industry, right? Like there's always that like
it goes back wave out. It goes back to the comment that we talk about all the time. I wish everyone would understand we're in the same pond. If the water goes up, we all go up together.
It's true. Now you can live that, right? You can be like, absolutely, like it and you practice it and you do things and then you feel it and it comes back to you and you're just like, I can't believe it, it's real. Or you could be like, hey, all tides rise together, but I need to make sure my ship is a little higher than your ship, so I'm going to kind of nudge your ship over here. And it wouldn't be bad if your area gets a little less water than my area, but I know we'll all win together, but I want to make sure I win. There's like the kind of like embracing it, and then there's the kind of like, I get it, but and I really feel like it's a real life hack, but you have to lean. It's like one of those trust things, like where you have to lean into, you have to give your full trust to it to actually see it work. It can't be one of those half-in type things, or it's just not it.
So this industry, like being as, how old it is, and now finally tapping into this side of the industry is so small. It's in an infancy stages of where it's at. It's just begun. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of improvement that can be done, and it's going to grow. You know what I mean? It's going to continue to bloom, and that's when over time will prove to people what the whole mission really was, what it looks like on a grand level. I mean, again, we talk about every Coke needs a Pepsi. There has to be something that validates it, and as you grow, people will see that, then it validates it. It'll make more sense, and at the end of the day, it's just. I live and eat and breathe what I just told you. I really am not looking. I don't care if my ship's any higher than anybody else's. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't feel good when it is. You know what I mean? If you're the biggest window tint guy in your town or something like that, I mean, you can be humble about it. I mean, the people I'm associated with. I mean, I mean, I'll say it out loud. Jeff Franson's one of the most humbling people I've ever met in my life. You know, he's, you know, it's one quick, short answers. He's, you know, he can walk through a room and of window tinters and like 5% might even know who he is. You know what I mean? He just stays off the radar. He's very humbled in who he is and his actions. So he kind of leads by that example. Like he expects us to all be the same way. So we just stick to our philosophies in-house, and it's if you win, we win. You know, if you're going to take something to the next level, you're only going to challenge us to be better and take ourselves to the next level. I mean, that's how that works.
How many years have you been tinting windows, Mr. Karle?
31.
And how old are you?
45. Started when I was 14.
Right. So 45. How many years do you think, if you're looking forward, do you see this as like maybe another 10 years and you maybe could cash out? Do you see it as another 20? Do you see it as another 5? Do you see it as soon as possible? What does your future look like?
I'm just like you, brother. I love what I do every day. And I don't know how that would change because of the camaraderie, finally having the connection in the community I have. At some form or fashion I don't see myself getting out. Like I'm right now at this point in my career, I can honestly say to everybody and you, I'm happier than I have ever been in life right now.
That's great.
You know, so I'm not trying to change that. I mean, everybody goes into business to win, right? You want to win, you want to cash out, you want to do this. But if I get to stay connected with the people I care about and the things that I really love to do, I'm not going anywhere. Like I haven't even put any thought of that. I've thought of my exit strategy from my auto shop, but not my exit from the industry.
Okay. Well, that's really, okay. Let's reword the question then. Thank you for that. How long do you see yourself with your auto shop? As soon as somebody made an offer worth taking, would that be a good answer?
As soon as something made sense, as soon as I can actually get what I put into it.
Yeah.
As soon as we finish the inner workings of the CoolVu auto spot and the numbers get correct, and then I can correct multiple, and I might even take a haircut if it's one of my employees.
Okay.
I'm out because then I'm not tied down as much to here, and then I'm out in California bothering you and your dog.
So wait, okay, hold on. No, because you still have CoolVu of Jacksonville and of Wilmington.
That's all flat glass though. That's not automotive.
I know, but I'm saying okay, fair enough, but you can't be with me in California and then you could.
I'm talking about a visit, man, like constantly.
Yeah, I thought full time. I was thinking like a marriage like type thing. You're talking like full time, move the family out.
Or kind of hot.
Thank you. All right. So potential exits, like you're going to be in the industry. I know that because the passion you spoke with Hossam's event earlier and like just knowing you're obviously going to find a way to continue to contribute even as a wealthy, previous owner of your Tint Wizard or CoolVu Auto Spa. But anyway, point being, you would get out if an offer came your way. Good enough. Yeah.
I would, the reason I want to get out, it's not probably why you think. It's not about the money at this point.
Like, do you think? Wait, what do you think I think?
What do you think? Why would you think I would?
No, what did you think I would think? Because you said it's probably not what you think.
I think you think I'm money driven or something. No, I think
I'm thinking this. You have a lot you can do, and you have a lot going on, right? You have flat glass, you have auto, you have your family, you have a charitable aspect and social aspect of the industry. Taking auto and saying, hey, I can cash that out for X amount of money it's not like a bad thing. It like would let you do more of the other things. So that would be my perspective, would be like,
then you nailed it.
Or if you can cut one out.
You just nailed it. You just nailed it. It gives me the freedom to be more socially active with, all the way down to, I'm on the board for Tinters for a Cause. I care about these things deeply. God first, as you know, we've had that conversation, my family, and then you guys. You guys are my extended family. I care about doing what we do. I want to be at everything. Me having to not just missing something, man. I feel like I'm like 14 years old again and told I couldn't go to the skating rink.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing out on everything. And then it was just Saturday. I know I had to leave and get back somewhere at a certain time. I don't know if I'm the only person that feels this way, but I needed to leave. My wife was getting pissed at me. She's calling me. She's like, you need to be on your way home. We got a party to go to for Christmas and this and that. Dude, I felt so terrible for leaving not because I didn't want to spend time with my family. I just truly love doing what we're doing. It's like, you don't want to leave. It's like, this is it, man. This is the pinnacle. There's no stress here. It's people who, it's hard to put that stuff into words because, it's been so competitive for so long. And we've been taught to be competitive and taught to be competitive. Well, this whole side of everything that we're doing is not competitive. So getting rid of the auto shop, I would miss it. I mean, that's my life, man. I built it. It's what made me who I am today. But at the same time, being able to spend more time with my family and be able to spend more time with you guys and focus more on the runway of something that gives me more of a reach to help more people. Really, I'm just at a point where if I passed away today, you know what my biggest – hold on, let me just say something morbid. Hold on, because it's not really morbid. It's just a true – and you feel the same way. If something happened to me tonight when I left here, I think my biggest regret would be not being able to pass on the information and the knowledge that I've learned over this 31 years. Really.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And you see yourself, obviously being able to do that over time, just throughout the industry, right? Because that's the thing is I feel like, somebody like yourself, not that there's many like you, but there's people like yourself that have been in the industry for a long time that truly care about the community and about passing along that knowledge. And sometimes it can be frustrating, like, well, how do I do that, right? Like I have so much to give, but you might not have an avenue to give. And you've definitely created some lanes to do that for yourself. And that's important too, is giving yourself those avenues to give back. Cash is kind of comes to mind with that as well. He recently started a live stream focused on financial prep and taxes and potentially retiring one day and so on. And to me, that feels, speaking for him, just my perspective, he's picking an avenue to say, hey, I want to do something and this is going to be my lane and we'll start here and go see where it goes. But everybody it's good to have that,
You ready to hear it? He's created his runway. And man, I had a clever name for his thing. I love that his name's Cash. I feel like it opens up unbelievable amount of opportunities with clever names that I can't think of right now. But did David sell his automotive side? No, Scott, we're playing pretend. He didn't. He didn't. So it is available if you're interested. Jacksonville, North Carolina has a new parking lot, right? It has a what?
New parking lot.
That we did do. Well, it's always had asphalt, but we redid the asphalt about 2 years ago. Yeah, that you didn't want to see that check written. Whew.
You're right.
But I'm right next to Walmart. I'm on the busiest road. I'm in the busiest place. Yeah.
Okay, Nick said, I'm just trying to be in the habit of reading the questions, not trying to stir up shit. Nick said, but I saw my name, so I got to read the questions. Guess the industry went blind when Eric DeVos on podcast said Absolute Sunblock is the pioneer in architectural window tinting franchise as a home-based business. I have no idea. It might have been, right? Here's the thing. If I'm going to fill in where I think this is going, it's going to be my guess and I'm guessing, Nick, because I feel like ultimately you might as well just come out and say whatever the hell you're trying to say. It would just be easier, right? We could just do a podcast. It's I can't guess, but I'm going to play guess for a second and feel like we're playing a game of who did it first. And I don't know who was first at whatever was first, but to me, first isn't the thing to be necessarily. It's an execution. You just do your thing. And everybody does everything at different times. And it's confusing as to where we're going with this, but hell yeah, I can put the truth out. Oh, okay. So I don't know, probably figure that out on a different podcast. Cause as Jordan said, what was the question?
First doesn't really matter. I'll just say that it's important in some things.
Christ. Go ahead.
Your dog is on.
Barking is just and it's just consistent. It's been 45 minutes.
Jeff always says something to me, man, that always rings bells because I really appreciate his mentorship and the things that he says. And he always says the first one over the wall gets bloody. The first one over the wall usually has the most reward as well, but he's also the first one to get bloody. Doesn't mean that's always a good thing. You know what I mean? But it does mean that you have to take it. You you want success in life, you're going to have to roll the dice sometimes. You're going to have to, take some falls. And this, and even with this system, that we're doing, we haven't experienced any of that, but you have got to really have your ear to the ground. You really have to pay attention to your landscape, and you really have to listen to people, or you'll get really bloody really quick.
Jeremy Davis said, read some more questions or comments here. At the end of the day, we all stick stickers to glass. Mazel tov and facts to that. Cash said, dude, why we got to have such big egos and start measuring. Mazel tov to that one, Cash. Nick said he just wants some acknowledgement. And I think he said something about props where it's due. Give props where needed. Here's the thing. It would be confusing if you, as CoolVu, or you as anyone, went around giving props to someone else as a company. Like, that concept, I guess, is confusing, where somebody's like, Nick, like, I hate to almost address this, but like, who should give you props? Like, I don't even know what we're talking about. You're very welcome to do a podcast together, but like, can't expect like other people in the industry to know your business and celebrate you without knowing about it. Like, it's kind of one of those things, like, you kind of have to put out there what you want people to know, but you can't kind of expect other people to put out things that you want in your head them to put out for you. I just think that's an unrealistic expectation.
I agree with that to a certain extent. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, sometimes your acknowledgement comes without ever, being known. I mean, a lot of people knew me, but I really didn't blow up on the scene until I went to Haas's shop, and it was still to this days, man, I'd do it for anybody. I don't even understand how it went viral, but when he was having his twins,
I recall. That was very kind of you.
Like, people was like, I still to this day, I'm trying to explain to people, that is normal. That is what you should do in life on a day-to-day basis. If you have the ability to help someone, please help somebody. Don't think it's a burden. It's not. I don't know. That was just that was kind of like the waking up call when I knew the industry like needed to change a little bit. You know what I mean? We needed to, like, hold on, guys. Have we gotten so far down the rabbit hole that we just don't worry about each other anymore? Is it just always competitive?
I mean, when did you see all that though? Like, when has it been that like you saw like somebody maybe needing to take time off for work, and then there's just this other person that's from a different brand that's just going to be like, I got you. I'll leave my shop, my family. I'll come take care of yours because, like you're saying, because that's the right thing to do. What a fucking move that was. Because like, it was just not something that you saw happen. It might have happened, but it wasn't something. And then it was like, now you see, obviously like there's Tinters for a Cause and all the different functions that led up to Tinters for a Cause, but you see more and more and more of that. And that's just like leading by example and the ripple effects it has. The things you say, the actions you take, all those things have a ripple effect.
Yeah. The crazy part is, to speak on what Nick's talking about, is like when you get acknowledgement, you don't realize it's even happening, because it usually comes from a very genuine place, and you're just doing what's on your heart or what you think is right. That's just how I landed there like that. Like, there was no, I don't know. Again, to me, to this day, it's just still, I don't understand what the big deal was. I would think that the most of the people that I would call my friend would do the same for me. I'm glad that people saw inspiration in that. I'm not going to, a lot of people have tried to call me and thank me for that I don't, just like you, I don't want a thanks for something that is part of who I am as a person. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not worried about that. But if it makes you do it and then you go out and do it, man, you just do it because you know it's right. Don't ever worry about getting a reward for that. Don't ever worry about somebody patting on your back. That's not that, you'll never get the recognition that you want for doing that. Like, it's definitely has to just come from here. That's it. That's all I can really say about that.
Yeah. Tinner battles where everyone gets along. Tinner battles.
1,000%. It's unity. It doesn't matter what you use, who's what, none of that matters. It's about showcasing the artist where it really, really, really clicks, where it makes sense.
I think it'd be impossible to be upset with somebody at Tinner Battles. I don't think anybody could actually be upset with somebody else that are both at Tinner Battles. I literally don't think it could happen within the aura of the place. I'm just saying. So if there's anyone who, hasn't got their tickets yet, it's definitely a place to go.
You don't want to keep missing them, bro. If somebody's on the fence, you don't want to keep missing it. It's life-changing through relationships, through information, through knowledge, through friendships. I mean, how often do all of us just call each other on the phone now just to see how we're doing? You know what I mean? Like, what you up to? It's not even, I mean, it broke the ice, I guess you could say, for a lot of us that always wanted to reach out to somebody.
Yeah. Hey, look at Jordan. He's in here. I'm sure I could use him as an example. Tinner Battles 21, the first Tinner Battles. He might have been like, let's not even talk about him there, because like it was a great time meeting him and he was like obviously super friendly. But he might have, around that time, he might have been like a snarky-ish dude online a little bit, like stay shady, but like on the darker side of shady. And like he's one of the most positive people I know. Like that dude is like, he handles things really calmly, it seems, from over here. Like some different like things online. Like he's not like one of those like, he's not like Nipsey where he's going to come fucking for your throat if something happens. You know what I mean? He's not coming for your throat full on. Like he doesn't go to war with people. He sends me super positive messages. He shares. He goes out of the way to share posts and everything. And like I'm saying, that's a dude who like that's not because of Tinner Battles. That's because of him, right? He put in that work into his life. But you see that transformation, and I like to think that the social aspect of online and Tinner Battles and everybody, the community, and you and everybody. Help like nudge everybody in those directions. It just kind of nudges us all, including Nick, which I think should come to Tinner Battles. All of us.
Nick, come to Tinner Battles.
Right?
I will personally sit down and have lunch with you, Nick. Come to Tinner Battles.
That's the point, though, is like there can be things to talk about, but it can still all be like cool,
I think the best part for me is like for a lot of that stuff too, man, is it's not even really about the 10. It's about me getting to meet your families. It's about me getting to meet the people you care about. That's what
it really does give you another level into insight of a person when you're trying to like understand who a person is to then meet their family.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you a prime example. Me and Dave have become great friends. Dave Dillinger. When I saw him in Houston, I mean, I walked up and his wife was standing there. I hugged his wife before I even shook his hand and hugged him. You know what I mean? Like
better get punched in the face.
But
Dave Dillinger is a great guy. And are you recently friends with him, or is that?
No, I mean, we've chatted a little bit back and forth on social media. Of course, we both knew that we were into like a little bit on the more strenuous end of cars. And then, man, when he showed up, the week before the first Tinner Battles, and that was Orlando. Man, all those times just run so fast together.
Before the first one, so in Houston.
Orlando, remember?
Oh, at WFCT.
Yeah, at WFCT in Orlando. Yeah. And he come walking in, he's like, we walked right up to each other, dude. Like we'd known each other for 15 years.
Yeah.
And just sat there and just talked, and we walked around together and stuff like that. Like I don't, man, it's I mean, to be honest, it's been kind of weird, but I'll take it. It's a good weird.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is, obviously, like thinking back at the first Tinner Battles.
Right.
And getting to grab some Mexican food with him on the way out of Houston. It's just the kind of guy he is.
Oh man, he totally. When I was there in Houston, like he came over on his break and had lunch with me, my wife, and my kid. I mean, you just can't put a price tag on that. But that's happening everywhere now. There's subsets of pockets. I mean,
yes.
Me and you break bread together. David Soro. I mean, dude, this is like a dream come true for people that have the same thinking, the same alike thinking, and now we're getting to just all hang with people that feel the same way as we do.
Yes. Well, dreams and fantasies become realities. At Tinner Battles 2023, just days away, 3 weeks and 1 day away. My God, it's coming up quick.
My wife is really looking forward to the yoga class.
The yoga, Marcello from Ventralite will be teaching yoga. He's somebody who's been showing this flexibility, making everybody wanting to be part of yoga for a year or so now. He's been flaunting his yoga practice, and then to be able to go there and now like actually do a yoga session with the guy, it literally is like one of those things, like you see it, you think about it, and then it becomes reality, like a year later, year and a half later. And go ahead.
Who in their right mind ever would have thought we'd have been doing yoga before a window tint conference? I mean, I just want you to put that together.
It's one of many Tinteractive activities that will take place on Friday and Saturday morning at Tinter Battles 2023. Yeah, no, for real. The Tinter, it'll be like, you know, the yoga. There's the Zen room, which really, like, there hasn't been any talk about the Zen room. Like in the sense, like, you know, obviously people know about it or it's been announced, but like kind of like what that vibe is and like what's going to happen has just been kept low key because, you know, part of the excitement is like Friday, go in there, you experience it. You don't know what you're about to face, but you know, like you got to be surprised. Some of that surprise element, like you don't know what it is, like, you know, and I'm excited to just see people's reactions to that. And obviously all the competitions and so on. The yoga, there's going to be, I think there's a Tinteractive run also led by Marco Cazorla. And then I believe there might be a polar bear plunge led by David Serro.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're going to have multiple Tinteractive activities, right? To be able to do, you might want to get bendy with Marcello. You may want to go running with Marco.
Wait, does David Soro know he's doing that yet?
Yeah. He's from Canada. He definitely knows. The cold water is no problem for that guy. So it's going to be the polar bear plunge. Take a swim out into the freezing cold water, and then you swim back. And you do it. It's going to be like 7 a.m. like as the sun is just cresting above the horizon.
Sweet.
Polar bear plunge. So those 3 options right there. Anyway, Tinter Battles 2023 tickets are still available. It might not be that cold. So Chrissy brings up a good point. She lives in Florida. It's 81 today. You got to figure it's 3 weeks from now, and it's in Amelia Island, Florida, which is quite north. So it could just be like the water will be in like the 50s or so in the morning, especially as the sun is rising. But yeah, the pools are all heated. There's hot tubs. Like no one's going to be cold at the event, obviously. And then there's also some unique merch for those attending that relates to the location. So leave it right there.
Are we finished, my friend?
This could be it.
If this is it, let me just wish you a Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas, and definitely everyone out there as well. But, you know, I definitely thank you for becoming a friend and definitely, you know, all the things that you do that you don't want any credit for. So I won't put too much hammer on you, but it's been a pleasure. And I mean that. Like,
well, thank you. Thank you, obviously, for coming on and doing this tonight. And then to also receive such praise. The praise should be headed your way. So, you know, the feeling's mutual, and really, like, thank you for being a great friend, and, you know, Merry Christmas to you as well. This will be the last Tint Wisdom we do until after the new year. So Tinter Battles, everyone, Tinter Battles.
I can't wait, buddy. I'm pumped up.
Tinter Battles. It's 3 weeks and 1 day away. So what's going to happen is tomorrow is Thursday. Then there's another Thursday. And then there's another Thursday, and we're there. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Pretty sure I did my Thursday.
Are you got like a calendar up on the on the fridge?
And you'll work by one Thursday.
Like every time, like every day, like you counting down?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Every day. But like, I think I got my Thursdays wrong. Tomorrow's Thursday. Then there's another Thursday. Then there's another Thursday. And the Thursday after that, we're all there. So there's 3 Thursdays plus tomorrow.
Game on.
I was off by 1 cash out. I was trying to make it seem shorter than it is because it feels like it's right.
Belts change hands or not. Maybe not.
Or not. If they don't change hands, that's like fucking groundbreaking. Like never happened before. Like somebody who's won 2 years in a row of any tint competition. I don't believe it has ever happened in the world.
No. Competition is gonna be stiff, buddy. There ain't no doubt about that, for sure.
And judging will be on point, no doubt about that. So thank you for your service.
Man, that's a pleasure, man. To be considered, even to be honored to do that. I can't tell you, like, that's a huge responsibility, and the integrity of the whole event is in my hands. So I take it extremely serious.
The tintegrity, you
The
said.
integrity is extremely in my hands, so I take it extremely serious. Extremely serious.
Integrity of the industry. All right. Tinner Battles, if you're on the fence of going, I'm not trying to sell tickets. I'm trying to look out for your best interest. Get your ticket and go, because it's going to be something. I'm telling you, it's going to be something unique. So if you have the opportunity to go, take it. Hotel tickets, I believe they're extending the discount for a couple more days. So you still have an option of getting the discounted room. And then the regular tickets to Tinner Battles are still available. Just go to tintertainment.com or look for it on Eventbrite. And that's it. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy Hanukkah. Happy holidays. Be safe. Have a happy new year. And trying to think if I'm going to be on a live stream, or you're going to be on, like, if we're going to be doing this again, but it's going to be Tinner Battles. It's going to be the next time we all talk to each other, I feel like. Clubhouse tomorrow. Big announcement. Be at Clubhouse.
Oh boy, here we go.
Or don't.
Oh boy.
But
nothing. It's
whatever.
just keep playing chess. Here we go again.
I'm just saying, Clubhouse tomorrow.
Big announcement, huh?
Well, Patrick Francisco's going to be there. There's an announcement. It's not like a big announcement, but it's kind of an announcement, and it may be something that leads to something new. It may be the end of something. I could be just kind of putting out a thing there. So tomorrow, Clubhouse. And then Joe Guzman said, Devash for president. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but if I was given the opportunity to be president, I would take it, because I think the world needs it. Not saying I'm qualified, but I'd be willing. So if you can make that happen, Joe Guzman, it's going to take more than a comment in this live stream.
You're going to actually have to write that in on your card.
Yeah. Let's start by getting rid of the contractors' licenses for the states that are affected, and we'll work our way up from there.
Sweet.
All right. David, Karle, thank you so much for being you and doing this. And I can't wait to see you in a few weeks.
Yes, sir. Thank you. God bless and Merry Christmas, brother.
God bless. Bye, everyone. Have a great night. Thanks again for watching, and Happy New Year. Happy holidays.